Right, this video is on how to create a Gantt chart, and we're going to be using Google Docs to do this. A Gantt chart is essentially, it's a special type of bar chart, and businesses and US students, you guys can use this to keep track of milestones in projects. Now, it doesn't even have to be a computer science project, it can be anything. Anything where you have specific goals that need to be accomplished within deadlines. So this is an example of one. Google Docs, it actually has a gadget which will allow you to create these really easily. And you can see the length of time it takes for development, the length of time for testing, packaging. And this is an example of one that I found. And basically what you do is you put in the stages. So this one has 5 stages. You put in the start date and the end date for each one. And then there's some optional things. The example they have an ID number for each one. They also have a percent completed. The percent completed, that represents this black bar here. These are optional. I wouldn't bother doing it for you guys as students. It just complicates it. And it's really, really easy to make one of these. The reason I chose Google Docs is their gadget is really straightforward, and it's very, very easy to do. If you wanted to do this with Excel, it's much more complicated. You could look up on Wikipedia the steps of how to do it, and it's going to take you, I'd say, at least 10 times as long to do it with Excel, unless you can find some kind of a Gantt chart plugin for it. There's also specific software you can download for it. I have seen a Java tool which basically is the same thing. You punch in the dates and it gives you this bar. That's really easy to do as well. So we're going to start with the Google Docs. First thing you have to do is you actually need to create a new spreadsheet. So you just go File, New, Spreadsheet, and it comes in like a blank one. Then you want to put in a header called Task, Start Date, and End Date. And then what we want to do is we want to have these 6 here. For our computer science project, or for any software development, basically there's 6 main steps, and you need to know these. First one is brainstorming and problem definition. This is when you come up with an idea for your project. Second one is an analysis. This is the constraints you're going to have on your project, limitations, things like that. So you need to know, going into your project, what it's going to be able to do. So say I was making blackjack, right? I may not want to do full graphics, have money and things like that. So you want to put limitations in your program, and that's what you would do in analysis. You have to make your project realistic. Okay, you have to put some boundaries on it. The third step is design. This is when you actually create your classes and your objects, and you basically figure out some skeleton code for your program. Coding, this one's straightforward. This is when you write all the code. 6 is testing. Okay, actually, this is step 5, is testing, and obviously you're going to look for errors, bugs, things like that. And number 7 is when you actually install your program and then update it for what your client needs. So these are our 6 steps for software development, and what we want to do is make a Gantt chart with these. Okay, so I've already got some dates here. I'm going to actually change these dates, and I'm going to make the project start on June 1st. Okay, actually the first date's alright. And the second one, we're going to say that brainstorming is going to take me 2 days. Okay, so we'll start on the first, we're going to end on the second. Okay, then the analysis is going to start right after. Okay, so we're going to start on the second. And instead of ending on the 16th, we're going to take 2 days for this one as well. So this is going to end on the 3rd. Okay, the design. This one's going to take a little bit longer. So we're going to say this one, instead of, it's going to start on the 3rd. And we're going to end this maybe on the 5th. Okay, now I'm just doing this quickly. I'm not worrying about weekends, stuff like that. So, I mean, if you want to choose due dates, so that's something I'm not doing a Sunday, that's up to you. Okay. Now the coding, this usually takes the longest. Okay, so our last day before exams is June the 17th. So we're going to make the coding, finish it up by June the 14th. Starts on the 5th and it ends on the 14th at the very latest. Okay, testing, we're going to do 1 day of testing. Okay, and then implementation, this is basically when we hand it into the teacher. Okay, but in the real world, it would be, you know, you got to install these on a server, or you know, upload a website, whatever your last step would be here. And let's say it's going to be handed in on the 16th. Okay. Now, obviously, you would want to adjust these dates. I just quickly went through these. You would probably want the project handed in a little bit before the 16th. I mean, that's the second last day of school. Ideally, if you can get it done by like the 14th, then that way you can study for the rest of the year. That would be ideal. So don't use these dates once you think of your own dates. Okay, now how do we actually create the Gantt chart? First thing you have to make sure is that you're on the old version. Sometimes it's coming in as a new version. This is a link here. Make sure you're on the old version, otherwise you're not going to be able to insert a gadget. And what you want to do, highlight this, and go Insert. Okay, so let's see, right click, Insert Gadget. Okay. Now basically they have a ton of different gadgets here. Just search through and you will find it. It's called the Gantt chart one. Add it to the spreadsheet. Okay, it should have your range. That's the whole block is highlighted. And essentially the easy way to do it is you just pick the name column. All the task names are in column A, and the rest you just leave it. Okay, I mean some of these other ones you can pick. If you just click auto, it should do everything on its own. Okay, and it's going to show up down here. And that's basically it right there. So there's your Gantt chart. Okay, and you can move this around. Okay, we start at the end of May here. It ends on June the 16th. And it's done for you. Really, really simple to do. Watch the way the dates are formatted. It goes month, day, year. That's one of the issues that I had with this. I've seen some problems where it doesn't like printing. Let's see what happens here. Sometimes the gadgets don't print very well. Yeah, this is one of those things. It looks like the gadgets aren't going to print. What I would recommend you do is make this a little bigger so you can see the whole thing, and then do a print screen and print it out with Photoshop, this portion of it, if you need to print it at least. Google Docs is a good tool, but there are some issues to it. But it's definitely the easiest way I've seen to create a Gantt chart. So this is how to create a Gantt chart in a nutshell.